All right, click the links for Odysee, Gab, bitch, all kind of stuff. I feel like this. I feel like it's all. I feel like the adults have left the building. They've just left America in the hands of idiots. What about a skit on Saturday Night Live? Oh my God, they would never do this. Where it's a bunch of millennial idiots who all have different pronouns. Like the guys, this is Bob. He's got female pronouns, and this is Sue. She goes by male pronouns, and then someone else is Zer, and someone is they, them. It's like literally everyone in the crowd, a dozen people, they're at a party, they all got different pronouns. It's like, are you expected to memorize everyone's pronouns? Seriously? It doesn't even, like, I know millennials are insane, but at some point you got to look up and go, okay, this is just nuts. This is nuts. We can't, there's no way you're going to memorize. I don't want to go there. It's something like, a lot of names, if with the monoculture, it makes things easier when someone is like Mary, John, Sue, Jack. It's easy to pronounce. You're so familiar with the name. When someone comes up with some name that's like some bizarre pronunciation, it's like you're not going to get that without hours of practice. And if you're in an area where everyone has these bizarre names, you're not going to get anyone's name right. And then if you misconstrue someone's name, it's like, oh my God, it's literally a hate crime. I mean, the only way to play their game is to out crazy them and just identify as whatever the hell you want and pick a name that's just out of this friggin' world bizarre, because then you can one up them. Say, well, you try to mispronounce my name. Here, I'll write it down for you. See if you can get it. Oh, and if you're, I know there's no liberals listening to this, but for the liberals in your life, look them in the eye, ask them, are you missing Trump? Seriously? Like, look around. Like, what was so bad about that guy that we had to elect someone with dementia? Is it worth the trade-off? We got rid of the orange Cheeto. He was literally a Hitler. Was he? Was he? Literally? Not even figuratively. Anyway, so, Gal Gadot, I know it's pronounced Gadot, but it should be pronounced Gadot. I kind of think that she is over. In Wonder Woman 3, I don't see that happening. And maybe superhero films in general. I know this crowd really enjoys superhero films, and I used to look forward to them. They were just fun. Post 2020 riots, I think everything fun is going to be gone for the next, till there's a revolution, if there's a revolution, I don't know. Okay, so I'm not going to bury the lead here. Every film that she is in that is kind of aimed towards the younger, more politically active crowd, a translation, the crowd that is completely up their own ass with self-righteousness, at the SJW crowd, I think that's going to underperform. Gal Gadot is problematic to the insane Twitter crowd. And to people over a certain age, her politics don't matter as much, but apparently her tweet was a war crime. Once you get past a certain age, you just care about everything a little bit less. It's like the dial just gets turned down and down and down. Okay, and I'm thinking of Gal Gadot as sort of a woke test case. To see what power do these Twitter insane people have. Will they put their money where their mouth is and not watch her stuff? And now that I think about it, I kind of doubt it, because I think most of their outrage is fake. It's just virtue signaling for dopamine points on Twitter. Everyone, these SCWs on Twitter, they are so desperately hoping that they make some tweet that, like, murder is bad, okay? And I don't care I don't care what the consequences are if I say this. Murder is bad. Yeah, no shit. Killing puppies is bad. Pulling the wings off a butterfly. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to pull wings off of butterflies. I know the Republicans are out there pulling wings off of butterflies daily. I won't do it. And they expect, like, accolades and the slings and arrows, but like soy and chicken feathers or something. It's just such insane nonsense. Twitter is, gee, what caused World War III and the Second Civil War? Twitter, yeah. 100 million people were slaughtered. Yeah, machine gun trenches and, gas, poison gas, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, Twitter, people, historians look back at Twitter and Facebook and say, yeah, it was pretty much Twitter. And that's why we burned Jack Dorsey in effigy after the revolution when we're in the Stone Age. Anyway, so Wonder Woman 2 absolutely bombed because of the writing. The actors did a fine job with what they had, but it was insane, insane anti-white, anti-male propaganda. There's like three different scenes where the criminals in the first scene are a bunch of white guys who rob a store. Really? Dude, are you not familiar with America in the 80s? And then there's the white guy, the blonde guy, who's in a suit and tie, but he's drinking outside in the city. And a black homeless guy has to save the girl from the blonde guy. Because that would totally happen in any American city. Are you out of your fucking mind? This is insane. Well, a child would look at this and go, yeah, I live in San Francisco. This not, that white guy would just get his ass kicked, robbed, and probably killed. That's not reality. Dudes in suit and ties, blonde-haired dudes in suit and ties don't stand outside drinking because they have a lifespan of a mayfly over a lake. That's insane. So this anti-white propaganda stuff in movies, I think it's going to turn the excitement down on movies in general. People didn't avoid the film because of politics. The film was just absolute crap. But now you take the kerfluffle overseas between the people in one group and the people in the other group, where some people are doing some things. And Gal's tweet, which made her look like a friggin' sociopath. And I think a large percentage of her fan base is probably just done with her. Not that she cares. Hollywood is very ageist. As I say, rock is cock. If she never does another big picture, she'll just raise her kids and be happy making smaller artistic films. The thing with Wonder Woman is it's just as easy to just reboot it with a younger star and someone in like 25, and then you've got her for like 10 years. And perhaps she should be Greek. Just saying. But nowadays she'd probably be trans, which I suppose that time has come. There actually was a trans person in a movie. I forget the name of it. She was playing a pregnant woman, and it wasn't played for laughs, and it was yeah. Anyway, so now that I think about it, has SJW boycotting a film ever been an issue? I kind of don't think so, because Hollywood is so far left that almost 100% of mainstream Hollywood is super, super woke. So there's really nothing to boycott. I think SJWs would say that they were boycotting, but they would secretly go watch Wonder Woman 3 just to kind of check it out. And because they also want something to complain about. But I don't think it... I don't think anyone's going to watch it. I don't think they're going to make it just because Wonder Woman 84 was a bomb. People don't throw good money after bad. And part of that was Wu-Flu's fault. But even so, with everything that is going on, Gal Gadot's time for a solo film like that is sort of over. And if it wasn't for Wu-Flu, admittedly, the film would have made its money back, I think. But it still would not have been a hit. It was just crap. It had too many woke scenes with Blonde Man Bad that you bend over backwards to put those scenes in the film. They didn't make any sense. And I know this isn't cool to say on YouTube, but the diversity forced down our throats is getting really tiresome, like Empire of Dust levels of tiresome, i.e. I am more tired than I previously imagined. But woke is a one-way street for Hollywood. They cannot dial it back for the simple reason they don't want to. The globalists who run Hollywood are crazy people who just want to watch the world burn as long as they have marshmallows. All right, but the internet has a very short outrage half-life, and if she's in an ensemble, it'll be fine. I mean, as fine as a DC movie can be, which is sort of a low bar. They've got a few bad movies and some mediocre films under their belts. Even Bird of Prey wasn't as woke as it could have been. It's just that because it was all chicks and some of the publicity that came out before it, we all assumed it was going to be insane, anti-white, woke, blonde men, bad type of cancer. And nobody wants to be lectured to by cocaine-sniffing kitty diddlers who covered up for Weinstein and the other similar characters. Hollywood's self-awareness is zero. And because the media kind of gives them the gentlest treatment possible, because the media were also doing cocaine at Epstein's place in the islands. It's like you don't see CNN reporting on MSNBC's lies and bias. They watch each other's backs. I mean, they're all partying together and, hanging out. Anyway, so Solo bombed because people heard that Lando was a pansexual robot banger. and nobody wanted to see that. That aspect of the film was actually played for a joke. I assume the same for the robots' rights bits. At least I didn't take it seriously in the film. But fear of the cringe kept people away. Secondhand embarrassment is definitely a thing. But even the next film in the genre, because if Marvel or DC are people going to be looking forward to any movies coming out after the 2020 riots? I don't think so. I think big screens are going to take a few years to get back to normal. People don't want to sit next to Typhoid Mary or the next Angel of Death, and they don't want to wear an N95 for 2 hours. I know that I don't. I didn't take this whole thing too seriously myself, but I don't know if I want to sit in a theater for 2 hours. I think most people are going to be watching movies at home, which is great, but it's also going to change the way that films are made and marketed for the small screen, because that's a whole different thing. The budgets have got to shrink. You're not going to get your money back on a $200 million film, or at least it's going to take so long that the return on investment numbers aren't probably not going to be worth it. You're just going to make more smaller films, which is good for actors, for beginning actors. But movies now are made with China in mind, and the Chinese audience likes big, flashy movies of American boobs bouncing around. There's a scene with one of the Transformers where there's a girl. I used it as a screensaver, like when that movie came out 20 years ago, or it's like a repeating GIF. It was that girl's running through the desert, and she's got these huge jugs that they tried to strap down, and she's running through the desert, and there's explosions, green screens behind her, and these boobs are just bouncing up. It's like an anime or something. It's just so ridiculous, but that's what the Chinese audience likes, and I like that movie too. I guess the boobs went a long way, and it was cool. Like, big explosions are fun as long as you've got like a super hot chick in there. Anyway, so China is not going to tune in to watch Batgirl or Supergirl. They're not into the breastless POC lesbians. Like, China's just not down with that at all. And making films less for a Chinese market makes for a better film, but Hollywood is going where the money is, and America is on the decline because we don't know what bathroom to use because of Baizu women who, China doesn't worry about any of that kind of stuff, but for some reason, America does. So China is rising while America falls behind. And China should just start exporting films to America. China can be the new bamboo Hollywood. And I'm sure Chinese movies couldn't be worse than Indian movies and their superhero ripoffs, which are weirdly hard to look away from. They're basically guys in PJs. And I don't think they even have green screens. It's just as horrible as you can imagine. Okay, so when you make a $200 million film, there's like $100 to $200 million in advertising costs, and that's tough to make up in streaming. And I don't think theaters are coming back to 100% anytime soon. And then if you got people wearing masks, well, if they're not eating and drinking, that's a lot of the revenue from theaters. So you're going to have to raise ticket prices to take up for the people not eating and drinking in the theaters. So I don't think you do make those $500 million movies. I don't think people want the bubonic plague with their popcorn. I just don't see myself going to a theater for a few years, or maybe ever. I don't know. Maybe when I don't know. I'd like to see the side effects for this thing that they're injecting into you, but that's going to take like 20 years to come out. So I probably won't be caring about movies in 20 years. Oh, and it's weird that Hollywood loves Gal Gadot but hates Gina Carano. Gal Gadot was a IDF using kids for target practice, and Hollywood is just sucking her dick. Gina Carano says that America is going down a dangerous pathway and maybe we should cool it, but different rules apply for her. Gina didn't want to use pronouns. Isn't that her right? Apparently not, because it sort of points out how silly the whole thing is. And it is silly. It's so effing silly. And I did a video on that for BitChute about how language works, because it describes reality. It describes concepts, real events. Propaganda cannot change reality. The thing is, kids are dumb. And even when I was a kid, I knew this. And because I thought other kids were really dumb. And I'm not a genius. It's just like I was mature as a kid for some reason. And I think I read a lot. I read a lot as a kid. And as a consequence, I read science fiction books in school, which means I didn't do any schoolwork. I just read sci-fi books. and I had to make it up later. It was kind of a pain in the ass. I don't advise it, but you get kind of a good reading comprehension that way. Anyway, kids are running America, or at least adults in childish thinking are running America. And until that changes, it's going to be very, very rough waters. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, guys. I will see you all next episode.